Hi everyone, my name is Javi. I can draw, or at least I like to say that I can draw, but after this week I am not so sure. Now see, the thing is that I tried this week to learn how to draw necks. Since last week I was working so hard on the head and the mouth, I was practicing some portraits, and when I realized that when I was trying to draw the rest of the body, when I had to draw the neck, I had no clue what I was doing. So I thought that the best thing that I could do was try to learn how to draw necks. Now, these are the things that I assumed that I knew when I started. Now listen up. The first is that the neck is shaped like some kind of cylinder, which it actually is. The second one is that there are two big muscle groups that define the neck. The first one is the trapeze, that is this one here, that is on your back and that lifts your shoulder, and the second one is the sternocleidomastoid, that is this one here, that helps you turn your head around. I won't say sternocleidomastoid too much on this video, so you can forget about me trying to say that word again. And the third thing are that somehow clavicles are involved in all of this. The clavicle is your collarbone, is this one that comes around here, and that you have the other one here. So what I tried to do on the first video of this week that you can watch here if you want to watch me fail at drawing necks, is that, well, I tried to draw some necks and I wasn't that off, but I wasn't doing that well either. I made some drawings, I tried to practice like different angles and different poses, but there was just something wrong about my approach to it. So I decided that what I had to do was, well, try to get some more information on about how to draw necks. And I did find some great tutorials, and I did find some great reference, and this is what I found. The first important thing to know is that the neck and the shoulders are framed by the bones that surround it. That sounds very logical, but it can get simpler once you learn how they work. I'm talking about the clavicles, and I'm also talking about the scapulas. Those are the ones that are here. They form, like if you're looking at the body from up high, it forms a diamond shape that surrounds the head. Once you start working with that shape, that diamond shape, it becomes a lot easier to place the muscles in their place. If you also consider the shape of the shoulders and the muscles on the shoulders, if you think of the human body with the arms extended from an up view, they make like two diamond shapes. I'll show you what I mean later. And I started figuring out where to actually place the neck, because the neck, when you are standing upward, it's not vertical. It's a bit more forward, and that is because the force that these two muscles here make. In fact, you know what? Nicely shaped. Nicely. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. First of all, I need to tell you something. I'm going to show you all the things that I just told you. The thing is that I'm going to use my deformed shoulder. It is actually hinged forward. So even though I'm going to show you this, just don't take me as a reference, okay? Okay, listen up. The first focal point that we're going to have is, well, calm down, everyone. This is the point where the clavicle ends. The clavicle, I'm going to be using a mirror here, starts here in this part. See? This is exactly where it starts. Then it comes all the way here. This is the shape of your clavicle. Now, I told you that the shoulders were framed by a diamond shape. This would be one, this would be one, and then the shoulder blade would come here. Now, this one would come around here, and it runs around here. Well, actually, more like around here. So between these two bones from one side and these two bones from the other side, they frame the whole neck muscles and the shoulder muscles. Because if you think about it, when you're extending your arm there is another diamond shape here because of how the shape of your shoulder muscle is. So you know when I told you about two diamond shapes before? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now regarding the rest of the neck muscles, well, I'm going to use some reference here. Most important one is this one. It connects to this part and this part. It's the one that you have when you are, I'm using a mirror. It's the one that you are using when you move your neck and it goes this way. It goes something like this. I don't have the most muscular neck, but they should do. It is this one. It is the one that you use here when you're moving your neck a lot, you know? And this is the most visual muscle that the neck has. So when you're trying to emphasize how the neck is moving or where the head is looking at, you're always going to emphasize this particular muscle. Then, and I have to go here once again, comes the trapeze. The trapeze goes from the back of your neck all the way here and into the shoulders. See, like this is the whole muscle. All of this here. Then what you have, here you have Adam's apple. Let's draw it here. It is it. Then you have a muscle here that goes into your Adam's apple. They follow this part of here. These are not muscles, nor is not muscular, but it's part of your neck. And then you have these muscles that come from down here and they go all the way from below this muscle and connect to this part. These are the muscles that help you do this. See, so that is pretty much what the neck is about. Am I recording this? Oh, thank God I'm recording this. Was that clear? Now, what I need is a shower. If you want links to all the tutorials that I just mentioned, you can go to the link below and click there and watch all the videos of the week and also get all the links to all the tutorials with all the names and websites of everyone who made these tutorials. Now that I knew the muscles and I knew the structure of the neck, I decided that the best thing that I could do was try to get some real world reference of how the neck worked. So I did exactly that. I found a lot of pictures of different people moving their necks in different and weird ways, and I started drawing on top of them and see how the muscles work and see if I can place them right and see if I can learn anything else about the muscles. That's exactly what I did, and here it is. First, let's define where the head goes. It is something like this. The rest of the skull goes here. Now, the spine would be something like this, coming down from the back of the neck. Now, if you're going with the whole cylinder thing, it would be, the neck would be a cylinder that goes like this to the center of the core of the body. You can see that here, and here would be that part between the clavicles. One clavicle is really clearly defined here. It is something like this. Here would be the sternum, that is one of the bones that holds your ribcage. Now the other clavicle, it's pretty much here and goes all the way up here. From this point, you can see, and you can see here, that there's this muscle going all the way up, and that the muscle that should be on the other side, since it's not actually doing any work. It's not really defined. I mean, you can see my neck here, and you can see that this muscle here is not clearly defined. So you don't have to do it. What you do have to do is this part here. Since this is a very delicate neck, you don't get to see the muscles a lot. And then you have this volume here from the trapeze. It's the same that is one. It's the same one as here. Now, since this clavicle is going up, it creates this valley over here. You see this? Now, remember in the video what I was talking about, this diamond shape that always surrounds the neck? This one doesn't involve the scapulas, but you can still see that when you're drawing a neck, you draw a diamond shape. See, in this one, you can clearly see the skull. Let's see. Here's the head. Here's the clavicle. The shoulder is going up, so the clavicle is clearly defined here. And see this? This is where the shoulder begins. This is where this lower part of the chin is. Here you have one of the neck muscles. And the other one that comes from, this would be from behind, you can see it, comes around here. It's not tense, but since this depression is so marked, you can still define it. Now this creates a volume here that coincides with the cylinder shape of the neck. And then here you have all the other parts that we saw on the last video. That come down like this, like Adam's apple would be here. And here is the trapeze once again. And here's that depression. This angle for the head sometimes can get complicated still. See, here you can kind of figure out the diamond shape. It's like this, and it's like this, and this. And from this point, you can figure out this muscle that is clearly defined here. Here are the muscles that do this. And here's Adam's apple. And there's lines that all converge here. Here's the depression and the trapeze. Okay, now let's move on to something more muscular. More muscular than that, I want to see this muscles. Yeah, look at the rock. Okay, so face here. The neck is here. Since the neck is something flexible, the cylinder won't always be straight, obviously. Now his clavicles, you can see all this. His clavicles are here. This part of the clavicle is covered by the muscle of his shoulders, huge shoulders. One point of the clavicle is here, the other point of the clavicle is here, and this goes all the way up. Here's Adam's apple, it goes down here. And here are the muscles. And I was loving this picture because of the trapeze. Like, he has such huge trapezes that instead of the depression you have this hulking mass here that covers the back of his neck towards the shoulders. Oh, I like this one. This one will make easier to find the scapulas. Here on this one, it goes this way. You can see it defined here actually, because when you lift your arm, the scapula moves outward like this. And this one is the other one. Now the trapeze comes here. This is a bulky trapeze. And in the case of here lifting, since he's lifting, this gets a lot bulkier here. And the shoulder comes closer to the body when it's lifting. See, this is the spine, this volume here. So, what do you think? Was this useful? Because this actually helped me to learn some things. So, I knew where all the muscles of the neck were. I knew how to place them in the human body. I used a lot of reference to learn how to do that. I think that I can do that. I thought that I could do it. So I sat down once again in front of the computer and tried to draw, this time, some good human necks. I want to see if I could get better, and well, you tell me if I got better. Hey everyone, let's get drawing. What I did is I did some small sketchy shapes of a chest and the head, and I'm going to try to figure out how exactly the neck that connects the upper body with the head should be drawn. I'm doing this because, well, one of the things that I found out that I think might finally help me figure this out is that, well, maybe the solution for drawing necks is drawing the things that go on the edge of the necks, meaning the head and the chest. So I'm going to give this a try. I've been warming up a bit, so I might have already solved it. But I'm doing this live, you're going to see me draw, I may fail. Let's try. Okay, so this is the first one. So the spine would come here, a cylinder here, a cylinder here. This is where the clavicles would go. I should try to figure out where the shoulders are as well. This is where the turning muscle goes. If the head is like this, Adam's apple will be here. Now, if the shoulder is here, that means that the trapeze is something like this. I think that the clavicle should actually be more like, let me see, more like here. So it can have a bit more of a curved shape. So shoulders would be here, chest would be here. Not that we care a lot about it, not today at least. And well, this muscle would be like this. I'm not going to make it like big or bulky, but I still want to define where it is. So this would be like this. That looks pretty good, right? Let me check. It doesn't look bad. It's not the best neck. I still need a lot of practice. But I'm getting there. I think this one was a particularly long neck. Okay, next. This one is a bit trickier. The spine would come here. If the clavicle is here, this one is here, this one is here. Shoulder would be around here, I suppose. Shoulder would be around here. Here comes the rotating muscle. This is the jaw. The other rotating muscle would turn around here, around the cylinder that is the neck. This will have like sort of this volume. Since this shoulder is up, the trapeze is going to be compressed in a way like this, forming a big valley here. We saw that on the other video. And since this shoulder is, well, not exactly relaxed, but pretty relaxed, it can be like this. And nothing needs to be really tense, besides this muscle that is the one that is helping the head to turn, to look this way. Yeah, that looks okay, doesn't it? Let me check if I'm doing right. It's pretty okay. It still looks like these volumes need some work. But still, I think I'm getting there. This one should be just a bit easier. So clavicle here. Clavicle here. Shoulders here, shoulder here. Chest. Now the cylinder that would comprise the neck would be something like this. Now, if I don't work too much on the shapes, it looks a bit better. I know that simplifying shapes is, an easy way for learning something, but maybe I shouldn't complicate myself too much with these necks anyway. Yeah, that looks a bit smoother. Next. Let's see. This one is a bit relaxed. That means that shoulders would be around here, like really low, like when you're sitting down watching a football game or something. The clavicle would be here. This would be here, like this. The muscle. And that's pretty much it, right? Like, there's not a lot to it. The thing is that sometimes, like in this particular case, the neck is pretty relaxed, and if I start focusing on the muscles, you'll see like looking at all these veiny muscular muscles to kind of go against the idea that the neck is relaxed. But since we're kind of trying to learn the muscles, well, that's a complicated thing. But I don't think it looks bad. Let me check. It would be more like this. It looks a little bit too bulky here. A little bit like this. This is a bit compressed. Yeah, that kind of looks okay. I'm still having a hard time to making them look relaxed. But maybe that's because I'm focusing too much on the muscles, like I just said. And let's make a last one, so I don't waste all of your day. And since this one is from behind, let's focus first on the spine. Then, instead of focusing on the clavicles, where's your work on? Let me check. Yeah, that goes a bit up here. This one is straight here. Now the trapeze goes into the shoulder here. I don't think I nailed the back of the head that well. But since this is being lifted, I had to study the shoulder muscles a bit more before doing videos like this. I'm sorry. So this is lifted this way. This looks okay. This looks awful. Let's just leave it like this for the moment. I promise to do a video on shoulders specifically, especially the back muscles of the shoulders, because whatever this is I'm doing is, well, plainly wrong. But that's why we're doing this, right? Trying to get better, one step at a time. Oh, that doesn't look bad. I thought it was going to look worse. Okay, so that's it. After a week of practicing and trying to figure out next, I think I kinda got it. What I have to study now is, the difference between really strong and muscular necks and more delicate necks, and how they interact with expressions. Because when you are drawing characters or making certain expressions, they kinda, tend to tilt their head, and this has to do with how they move their muscles, and if they're a feminine character, how to make the neck look realistic and that they're moving their necks without making them look muscular, unless you want to make a muscular female character, and you know what I'm talking about, right? So, well, that's going to be it for today. Back to the other camera. I'll see you in just a second. So, what do you think? I think that what I need is a lot more practice. I think that I'm getting there. I think that I kinda know what I need to know, but I could do something more. And well, it takes a lot of practice. You can't just figure it out in a week. I have to keep going, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But first, I want to list the things that I learned this week. So these are the things that I assumed. Once again, I assumed that the neck was some kind of cylinder shape. I assumed that the trapeze and the sternocleidomastoid were the two big muscle groups that define the shape of the neck, and that the clavicles had something to do about the overall shape of the neck. And these are the things that I learned. And what I learned is that I wasn't that wrong, but the first is that the neck and the shoulders are framed by not only the clavicles, but also the scapulas, that are your backbones that are here. Those help define in some sort of diamond shape the overall frame of your neck. These two bones help divide the neck from where the shoulder begins, and using this point, this end of the clavicle, as a reference, as a point where all the muscles converge, is really useful for figuring out how to draw the neck. Third is that the trapeze is not just on your back, but it also wraps around the beginning of the shoulder, going forward here and ending right around here, and then moving to your back. And last is that it's a lot easier to figure out how to draw a neck if you first draw an overall shape of the chest. If you draw the two extremes of the neck, that are the head and the chest, then you can figure out how the neck would go. And an extra bonus of the things that I learned is that I know nothing about shoulder muscles, and I know nothing about back muscles, and I should really start studying that. So that's it for this week. I hope you liked this long format class. Maybe it's easier for you to just watch one video a week with all of this instead of watching just several short videos during your week. I'm going to try to do both at the same time if I have the time and I have the spirit. This is how I did this one. I hope you liked it. I am Javi, I can draw, and I know you can draw too. I'll see you on the next week. Bye!